Welcome to SOYA Teacher Talk. We're talking headstand. Yeah. I love headstand. I do it a lot in my personal practice, but it's one of those ones that it takes courage to teach, for sure. And you gotta look at your class and be like, do they want to learn this, right? Do they really want to learn this? So one thing I learned in an anatomy class I took online was, our skeletal, our bones will have an effect on some of the poses we can do. So if we think about, if you sit with one leg extended and bring one knee in, and then bring your arms about shoulder height parallel to the floor, and then some people are going to have like a big gap here, some people it will be like touching, and this is going to play into certain poses. Like if you look, boom, crow pose is going to be probably a little bit easier for me than a person who has a bigger gap. With that same thing in mind, if we think about the length here of our humerus, if you are sitting and then bend your extend your arms up, bend your elbows. Now if you look here, I've got, I don't know if you can see, but I've got space. Some people it's going to look like this, their head's going to be poking out, right? So right there, that's like something you can show people to give them like a little bit of awareness, so that they're feeling like, oh, I have so much pressure on my head. Well, it could just be a skeletal thing, like don't take it personally, right? We're all different and wonderful and beautiful, so I love that. So with that being said, we have to think, okay, I'm gonna teach headstand. What do we gotta warm up, right? What do we gotta do here? And we wanna definitely, so we're warming up shoulders, necks. We wanna get a lot of core engagement, this idea of hugging everything into the midline and lengthening like a rod of power from like your crown of your head through to your feet. So you can practice that standing and get an awareness, and you can practice that upside down. So we're going to do a couple of things here. Some of the things we might do. Do you want to do anything?
Yeah, well, we could start maybe with trying to determine when we go into our forehead stand where the proper positioning is. So once we get through all of our warm-ups, then we'll be at that right stage to be able to put our support system down, which is our crown. So we're going to come over to the wall here and just give you an example of how you might help your students find the correct spot on where to place your head. And we don't want to put a lot of pressure on our head, but like Darcie said, with our skeletal system, we don't really have a choice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand about arm's length from the wall, and then bring the crown of my head onto the wall. And what I want Darcie to come and do is I'm going to use the wall for support, but what I'm going to do is I want her to see where my neck looks flat. So I'm going to exaggerate, and I do not want to be doing my headstand like this. I'm compressing the cervical spine, and then I'm going to roll, exaggerate it in the other direction, which is where you might think you might need to do a somersault. So I definitely don't want to be there, but I want my partner to tell me where they think that I have a nice, perfect, flat, right there, right. And that she's very, very close to what feels good to me. You can also use the reference point of sort of the flat spot of your head from when you were a baby. You can kind of feel there's almost like a bump over your forehead, and then it flattens out. So this is just a really good tool to know where to find that base location. And then we can come up and out. And then we would reciprocate.
Oh, that helped. That warms up your hamstrings a little bit too, doing that. Well, let's warm up our necks. Do it. Let's warm up our necks. So we can be seated if you're comfortable sitting like that or like this. You can sit up on a blanket, however you feel comfy. And then let's just start by bringing our left ear towards our left shoulder. If you want to add on, you can take your right hand and just kind of like walk it, creep it over to the right a little bit. You can even bring your left hand and add just a little bit of traction. If that feels right, if it doesn't feel right, just go ahead and keep that hand away, bring that hand back in close to you if that feels better. I like to come out by using my left hand, gently press on the side of the head, and come back to center. Nice, gentle way. Let's try the the other side, right ear to right shoulder. If you want a little more, you might walk that left hand out a bit. Maybe bring the right hand. It's just like a little bit of pressure, just so if you're not feeling something, you might feel something. And then when you're ready to come out, you can use that hand, just gently guide back to center. I'm going to take a look at Tasha. You want to look at me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to look at you. And then we have to look away. Oh, it's so hard. And then come back to center. Give it a little look up. And then as you look down, start to round through the shoulders. We'll do a little seated cat-cow. Inhale, lift the heart. Draw the shoulders down and away. Oh, it just feels so good. I love this one. Okay. Let's do a little shoulder roll one at a time because it's so swanky. And then the other way, forward. Okay, let's come on forward onto hands and knees. So now what we're going to start to do is just create a little bit of awareness in contact with the earth. We want to be rooted and we want to be solid in this contact. So we're going to start in tabletop position. And here you might let the shoulders drop, the shoulder blades come together and push. You might start here because this is a nice and a gentle place to start. If you did that a couple times, you might come down onto forearms. And then right away, so we'll get into the ritual of what we do into headstand. Right away, check. You're going to bring your hands to opposite elbows. And what you want to do is be able to grab your elbows. So if they're too far, they look like this. If they're too close. So then you start to just get used to finding when your elbows are underneath your shoulders, palms face down. And then what I like to do here is some rocks forward and back. And as you rock forward, just play with putting that weight on and pressing strongly into the earth. I just like to play a little bit. Come back to shoulders over top of elbows, and then tuck the toes under. And you're gonna feel everything light up. You start to just hover those knees an inch or two. Holy Dinah! And then lower back down. Come on up. We'll just give ourselves a little break. Roll the shoulders out here. So you can feel all that engagement that was happening. So let's do a dolphin pose, because I think dolphin really correlates nicely. So we'll come into that the same way. Come onto the forearms. Let's check. Grab opposite elbows. Palms face down here. Actually, we can practice interlacing the fingers here if we wanted to as well, if you want to kind of get into that routine. And so from here, tuck the toes under. Start to lift those toes. Keep pressing strongly into the elbows. And then maybe, if it feels safe, start to bring those hips up. You might even walk your feet in. But what I'm really doing is pressing into my elbows. I'm really feeling a lot of connection to the earth right now. You can play with bending through the knees, straightening them out. You might even lift a leg up. You might have a little fun with that. I know I always like to do stuff like that. You might too. When you feel ready to come down, just walk your feet back a little bit. Slowly lower the knees. Let's take an extended child's pose. And let's make it active. So keep the elbows off the ground, walk the hands out, and then press the hands into the earth. Take a deep breath in through the back body. Feel the expansion there. And then exhale and just sink into it. So we're just getting acquainted with the earth and our connection to it. Another breath here. And then just take a moment. I want you to visualize, because visualizing is really good when you're doing inversions or balance poses, to visualize yourself doing it first. So I want you to see yourself going through that routine. We're going to come up onto the forearms in our mind, and we're going to measure our elbows. We're going to draw our hands towards each other, and then you're going to just imagine yourself coming up into this beautiful headstand. You're rocking it. There's like a spotlight on you. I don't know, maybe there's there's birds singing, whatever you imagine. But you're rocking it, and you can do it. Okay, so then, nice and slowly, let's come back up onto hands and knees. Can you think of any other warm-ups that you like to do?
I really just enjoy warming up my hamstrings, so doing Mayurasana, downward dog, is a really good one.
I like this one from standing. So from Tadasana, interlace your fingers, palms up towards the ceiling, and then start pressing into your feet. And even play with your hips a little bit, like kind of tip the bowl forward of the hips and then tip the bowl back. And then find that place where you can connect your feet, your hips, your shoulders all start to stack. Press the palms of your hands up and be that lightning rod of like pure energy out the palms, through the feet. Bring the belly button in, tuck the hips. You're so strong and long. And so feel this engagement. Imagine pulling everything in. Take a breath here, and then let's do a little side stretch. To the left a little bit. Press into those feet really strongly. Inhale, come back to center. Energy lightning all the way up, and then on over to the right. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale.
This reminds me too of when you're up in that position. I always think of bringing the bottoms of my ribs to the tops of my hips, and bringing that as a really solid core engagement.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree.
when we're inverted, you can think about, so you're not bowing either way, you're bringing everything together.
Yeah, I like that one too. Okay. Okay. So I think if I was teaching to people who haven't done it, I would go to the wall, for sure. And partnering up is always nice. I've been to lots of different classes where you partner up. You don't have that option. You know, it's nice if you're teaching outside on the grass. It's a little less scary. But do we want to go to the wall for a minute, or do we want to?
We could do both if you want. If you want to.
Want to do it how, like, if you have a partner there with you? Okay. So it's nice because then you can talk to each other, you can create dialogue, and a lot of people are nervous going upside down. So the same thing would happen. We'd start in tabletop position. We'd come off the wall a little bit, so I'm about a foot off the wall. Coming down onto the forearms, check. Okay? For me, and this is something that Tasha and I were talking about, when I bring my hands together, I don't like crossing my fingers. I can't stand it. So I actually just keep a strong press of my hands together. Tasha, what do you do?
And so I do cross my fingers, and I don't know if you can see it from here, but what I'm doing is I'm not stacking my baby fingers. I'm tucking my baby finger inside so that the base of my hand is flush with my mat or the ground or wherever I am.
Nice. So here we are. We've done our check. We're getting our hands the way we like them, the way we feel comfortable. And then start with the shoulders. Just get used to pressing away, okay? And then play with bringing the top of your head onto the earth. So walk your knees in. And you can kind of play with this. And this might be where people stay. Because this is a lot, just like getting used to stuff here. Then same thing, we're going to strongly press so you'll feel the shoulder blades kind of come to the side of the body. I'm going to tuck the toes under. And then I'm going to just stay here. This is great. This is a lot of work. I'm practicing. Maybe walk the feet in. Now there's a couple ways to play with this. Like when I was first learning, I liked just lifting one leg and then the other one just floated up. So when I first learned, I liked it that way the best. The other way you'll see it tucked, because some people feel better just tucking their heel in towards their bum and then tucking the other one in. And then they might just stay here, but if they feel good, they start to lift. So here it's nice because watch, if I was going to fall, I've got a wall there, or I've got a person there that might, let's say I was falling forward, then Tasha could grab my feet and then keep me finding that energy line up. And so, like I'll show you through what we're talking about with the hips, so look what's happening in my hips, but then if I'm lining up my hips with my ribs, and you can just feel the strength that comes from that when you're doing that. And if you look, like I'm not even really on my head because my humeruses are long, so I've got this like little advantage. When I want to come down, bring one foot, take a little break. Sometimes you want the head rush, come here. But you can offer both. So that's nice with the partner because a lot of times too in those classes the people are really talking. Yeah. There's laughing and there's like supportiveness. So I love that. While I'm here, I might as well just show where those blocks. Yeah. This is another way so I have 2 sets of 3 blocks each, so 6 blocks. And what I'm going to do, if you think of like a feet up trainer, I'm putting them if you look at me,
me, my shoulders are gonna be supported by that. So I'm putting that up against the wall. And then, I'm not gonna have any pressure on my head. So this is good for people that might not have the same length. And then I'm just gonna take my time. I'm gonna make sure I feel solid, it's pushed up against the wall. I'm gonna come up onto my toes. I'm gonna play a little bit. And then right now, like, there's no weight on my head whatsoever. I feel super safe, I can play, la-di-da, and then I come down. So this is another fun way to get people upside down. Okay.
Very good.
Core stuff, like low boat, I like doing that stuff. Yeah. I like the low boats for sure. Yeah, I like the low boat. What else do you like for headstand stuff?
Really any core. You just have to get it moving. So
Core and shoulders.
Yeah, like your core and your shoulders are so important. So it could be something, you know, during a warm up where you teach retraction and protraction through the shoulder blades, because that's really important when you're going into your forearm stand and headstand. But then you could easily incorporate any sort of, you know, core workout here to engage. Yeah, you could do some plank, you know.
Oh, and I love a twisted scorpion because you're doing so much in your shoulders. So one of the things I would probably do after is you're laying down. Let's put our left arm out, palm face down, right fingertips, and then you're just going to turn onto your left side. You can stack the feet here and hang out, see how this feels. If you want a little more, lift your right toes, bend that right knee, and that scorpion tail might hover or might find the ground. And just check in with your left shoulder. We're opening up through the left shoulder. If you want a little less, go ahead and stack those feet again. Come out a little bit and kind of play with it. When you're ready to come out nice and slowly, use that right hand for support, coming on back onto your belly. We'll try the other side, right hand out to the side, left hand, fingertips press, and just check out first, stack the feet, feel the right shoulder, let the head, neck relax here. Maybe lift that left foot, bend that left knee. We're gonna hit you, Tasha, no, okay. Oh, I love this one so much. Coming on back nice and slowly. Let's press up and back for an extended child's pose.
Well, we've got neck, we've got shoulders, we've got core, we've got hamstrings. Maybe we get to do it.
Standing split, yeah. That's a good one
Oh, yeah,
to work it, yeah.
that's true.
I like that one too. But yeah, want to do it? Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Okay. Am I talking enough?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to come into Varmanasana, onto our hands and our knees, and then you can place your elbows down where your hands were. Again, we're going to do our measurement, making sure that we can grasp opposite elbows with opposite hands. Then bringing your fingers out in front of you into a triangle tripod position and figuring out what works for you. Maybe it's your fingers interlaced with your baby finger tucked under, or maybe you don't cross your fingers at all. Maybe you're at the wall with blocks for support, or any sort of structural beam, anything sort of to catch your feet when you go up. So finding your placement, and then tucking your chin to your chest and lowering that sweet spot of your head that we tried to find. So looking for that flat spot, and then engaging your shoulders here, and maybe doing that little bit of rocking motion so that you can really push your weight through your elbows, lifting your head up off of the floor, so feeling as much space as you can between your shoulder blades. Tuck your toes here and hover your knees. And if that feels okay, then maybe baby step your feet closer to your body. And then when you feel like maybe you'd like to lift up one leg at a time, like Darcie said, or maybe you like to tuck one foot in and come up, really pushing the earth away with your forearms.
flointing your toes, so pushing your toes up towards the sky like you're hitting the gas pedal, hugging everything to the midline. And your drishti, very important, looking at something that's not moving. And then maybe you want to play here, if you're feeling stable. No pressure on your neck, really pushing through your forearms, feeling that space through your scapula, through your shoulder blades. And then when you're ready to come down, hugging everything into your core again, and maybe you'd like to bring one leg down at a time. Maybe you're more comfortable tucking your knees into your chest and releasing one foot at a time. Releasing your head from your hands, and then coming into your favorite version of child's pose. So maybe your arms are out in front of you. Maybe you'd like to release your hands down by your hips. Maybe rock from side to side. And then when you're ready, using your fingertips, bring yourself up.
I just really wanted to space.
And come into space.
Just felt right.
That's what you do. That's the advanced practice.
Yeah. Yeah, so get upside down more. It's energizing, it's inspirational, and you might smile. Turn that frown upside down. Yeah.